All right, Chapter 4, AIPD Rail Yard Course. Chapter 4, Safety. 4.1. Where does the railroad subject that having jokingly asserted that it is improperly identified with the railroad man has a large watch chain. This was not always before, but before the advent of the costly standard railroad watch was sometimes cumbersome chain to hold in safely. More gruesome means of identification existed. Observation for the absence of the fingers for either or both ends. Years ago, within the comments among the railroaders and train service to the hiring offices of frequently looked up applicants hands with the mute of verification experience claimed that application form of the crude link and pin coupler. The chief culprit is and his eventual replacement, the automatic car. The coupler contributed with anything else of the virtual and eliminating the hand injuries throughout the years, and still little step and grab iron ladders and running boards have been added and improved within the resulting elimination of many other hazards of their cause and injuries or death. A rail yard, however, that is still in place in potential personnel injury, property damage. Like other automobiles, modern roads and rolling stock railroads have been reached a high degree of mechanical safety. The remaining of the contribution must come in from its users. Volumes of safety rules have been written extensive for the safety campaigns have been waged and discipline have been enforced for the rules of infraction. Still, some of the injuries, deaths, and occurred the Chris of the certain of the language of the rules wrote. Railroad rules lapse in one point of in the case of the doubt of this uncertainty, the personnel will take the safe course of the rule 108 TM 55200. This rule or any other places the final responsibility for the safe directly. Individual railroad workers must constantly on safe men working on and around moving engines of the cars, concentrating them on what they are doing. Although the railroads must provide the working equipment comprehensive safety rules, workmen's are responsibility for their own safety must not depend upon the others applying the rules for them. However, all work should be properly inspected in the safe. Safe methods of doing their jobs. Workmen should have familiarized themselves with appliances, pieces of equipment before using them, making them certain that they are in good shape. 4.3 the yards, and ensuring safety with a busy railroad where activities are taking place with poses making many problems. Some of the discusses following subparagraphs several methods to reduce the magnitude of the problem. Explain lighting. The railroads contributed materially to the accident and reduction lightly classification of yards of numerous and floodlights such as the shown in figure 4.1, such as systems impossible to clearly united from for 20 to 30 car lengths, neither virtually necessary for the yard works. Look both ways of the stepping and the cross of the track of the slowly moving car, particularly in the new empty ones. Little noise, the yard works, but not depends on the sense of the hearing of the detached approach cars because of the mechanical noise of the locomotives. B. The cleanway pathway space between the tracks are often called the 6 foot must be kept clean with coal, scrap, or debris and brakeman lighting from moving cars from clean and level spots to land ones. Even a small piece of gravel can turn a man's ankle into a possible cause of him to fall. In darkness, if any doubt exists about a condition of the ground, the brakeman should hold his lantern down and look at the ground before alighting. Obstruction should switch stands from the natural obstruction on any every switching lead. Sufficient clearance of existence with the man standing on the bottom of stepping of the moving of the car, providing the stands of the wreck. He should never lean backward, passing a switch light. This applies more to the older yards than the ones designated built within the last two decades or so. The brakeman wants to get off the moving car. He should do it immediately after passing a switch. He will then have approximately 50 feet of unobstructed ground on which to alight in light use. Portions of auxiliary yard switch lights are often removed to avoid cleaning, servicing, and the lanterns. Night crews moving on unlighted switches must exercise extreme caution to determine on which each of the current are actually lined for the passing it lightwise. The brake-wise may be careful and a stubble or fall over the switch stands. The other obstruction continuing the hazardous man of riding the side of the car, including tunnel walls, bridge piers, permanent structures built close to the track. These are generally marked with signals which read close clearance or no clearance, and usually equipped with red lights. D. The clear tracks and telltales carefully may be shut far enough to clear on each of the train to prevent the lighting of the following of the lead of the clearance with the engine of the shoving off the carts down and lead. The brakeman riding the first car of the cut must be observed the clearance of each of the track before passing it. He must be in a constant level lookout for the car being shoved toward him. A crew at the opposite end of the yard may couple the track, accidentally shove the cars on and lead. The brakeman riding on the car off of the cars should be prepared to signal the engine to stop. Should attempt to line the switch correctly before the cars run through it and damage it. Overhead obstructions consist of bridges and trestles that which can clearance insufficient for the man on the top of the car. Such obstructions are generally protected by the telltale smalls ropes suspended vertically in the cable extended across the vertical. The bottom of the telltale is about 12.5 inches below the obstruction, so as it strikes the upper body of the man riding on the top of the boxcar. The handling rope stringing the man riding on the top of the car means one thing: and get down at once. 4.3. Moving equipment: cars, locomotives moving logically, presenting the two chief causes of the accidents in the rail yards. Mainly receiving the written to cover the specific incidents of experience that has been provided to be dangerous. Other incidents for which the specific rule is readily applicable were assumed to cover the broad scope of the 108 quoted paragraph 4.1. The following subparagraphs discuss from the ways with the accident incident injuries can be avoided. A. Precautions: yards personnel can be reduced to the chance of the personal injury themselves. Otherwise, numerous ways. Some of these more important ones are follows: never crawl under the duties require them at one of the track of the blue flag protection outlined in the paragraph 4.4. Do not cross them before moving the standing on the cars with using the ladder whenever possible. When necessary, the boarding of the moving of the draft cars board the forward end of the car. The forward end of the end is the end of the direction of the drafting of the moving. Never board a moving engine by stepping on the front board from ahead. Catch the rear end of the engine and passes. Do not stand on the front board of the engine traveling in the front of the direction. If you must ride in the drafting car the considerable distance that has been choice of the climbing inside of the empty gondola or the board of the flat car, tank of the car, or a tank car with a full-length running board, when necessary to ride on the top of the car to signal the engine to signal the engineer to station yourself in the center of the car, never in the front of the rear. Prepare to brace yourself against the sudden start of the stop. While riding the top of the car, never ride on the hands in your pocket. It's easily to be thrown off balance. Do not sit on the roughly splintery runner boards. Do not ride between the cars, particularly on any intel or other car loaded with pipe, steel, shafting, longs, or similar freight to subject the shifting. Maintain a constant looking out of the open top of the car and loading with high coal, coke, slag, limestone, and other bulk commodities that may dislodge, fall from the car and is bumped. If you see anything that think of leads to danger, stop the engineer first and investigate investigate later. When signal the engineer, make certain that no engine head but one can see the signal. Do not step on the rails when crossing the tracks. Never walk along the top of the rail when wet steel is slippery and dangerous. Never forget, particularly at dark and with the direction of the engine is facing, a signal to proceed in the back of the different, meaning whether the engine is facing or headed away from either some railroad, particularly in foreign countries use signal meaning to come towards me or go away from me, with the signal using to make the difference in which the engine is ahead. Alighting, known as practicing the correcting method of getting off the moving cars, is vitally important. The danger in correcting the hazard of the lighting increasing of the core, so with the speed of the moving cars. Following the method applies for all cars standing on the sill step, often called the stirrup, of facing up the car with the cars moving on the right or the left foot should hit the ground and first. If the car is if you're moving to the right, your left foot should hit the ground first. If the car is moving to the left, your right foot should touch the first and short, and the foot opposite in the direction travel must be one touch ground first. This holds true not to matter which side of the train rider is on. In addition, with the drafting and traveling comparative faster, a safer loading can be made by leaning opposite direction of the movement. The best rule in this connection, however, is do not attempt to get off until you know you can land safely. 4.4. The blue signal. When a red light signals, no railroader regards lightly. A blue one probably means command shade and more respect. It means that the cars or engines are so protected that it should be coupled to or moved or in the daylight. Use a square metal flag painted blue and mounted on only 5 foot of the metal rod stuck in the ground at the end of each end of the track. At night, a blue lantern or light is attached to the flag. 1 yard of the classification track, the blue signal means the car inspector or the working on it, and or under the cars of the track, railroad crew respects the blue signal or what it is, a signal of the imminent potential dangers. Only in the workman displays the blue signal authorized to remove it. Only when the workman who displays the blue signal is authorized to remove it. A type of blue signal on some railroads combines the derailed device or a blue flag. It is clamped in the rail and locked in the padlock. The derails or the cars are switching against it. Whether the type does not use the same, some railroads require a blue flag track that has been switched line with lead locked to with a padlock. This prevents the switching crew from inadvertently switching a car on to a track, thus protected. 4-5. Bleeding the air. Another danger that all car inspectors must guard against is the rules of strict specified deals with the rail. The air brake system before attempting the repairs of the air brake system of the car. The train containing the air of the car must be cut down and the remainder of the train bleeding free from the air. This is done closing the angle cocks on each end of the car and bleeding the air, releasing the valve reservoir for the particular car. For the angle cocks, the cutoff of the car line. It is not done. Inspectors engineering brake shoes adjusting brake lineage with more than likely likely to be injured. If another inspector has to reopen an angle cock on either end of the train, or if an air hose bursts anywhere in the train, it would result in an emergency application of brakes that could cause serious hand injuries. And 4-6 safety rules. The following safety rules were quoted by the DA pamphlet 555-1 are applicable to all transportation railway service personnel. That the rules are designated to protect the workers, safeguard government equipment. The personnel must look in both directions coming out of the building adjacent with the track before crossing the tracks and walking with the parallel tracks, that they may stay as clear as the duties per walk against the flow or the traffic, keeping the lookout of the direction for the approach of the cars, trains, and locomotives, passing between the locomotive and cars and between the cars for any purpose of either moving or coupling is about to be made is prohibited. Before passing between standing locomotive of the cars, personnel prohibited with the person passing between the standing locomotive of the cars while giving the hand and the lamp the stop signals as wait for the acknowledgement unless they have a clear understanding and with the engineering of the protection against the unexpected. Personnel will not pass between or cross tracks adjacent with standing cars, locomotives looking to see if it is safe. When the locomotive cars or trains are passing, the personnel must stand on the pass sufficient distance to avoid injury for protection of the equipment and its fallen objects. 4D. 4-4D. Every precaution will be taken to prevent fires. Do not hold the match, light a torch, open and light a heated object near the gas tank, reserve container, or storage battery. Extreme caution must be exercised. Disposal waste of the flammable material. Personal engaged in such duties will cause properly covered by the avoid burns. Goggles of appropriate kinds will be worn. Goggles will be worn of appropriate kind will be worn performing operation hazard to the eyes. Things include but are not limited to such things as chipping, grinding, drilling, welding, cutting, and metalling with shears or extending torches, ribboning, handling assets, spray painting. Personnel watching with working near such as the operation to be exposed with the hazards must also wear the prescribed goggles. G. Scuffling, wrestling, and any other horseplay while on duty is prohibited. In your ear coverings such as interfering hearing will not be worn while working on or about the tracks. Stepping in the front of the moving car's locomotive to adjust the drawbar, knuckle, and lock pin, attempting to do the engine of the cars about to come together is prohibited. When making a coupling, uncoupling yard of the train, service personnel will safe direction of the movement, standing of the clear of the track with the feet braced on one hand of the operating lift lever and the other hand on lower grab and iron plate brace is prepared to give the proper signal when necessary. When uncoupling an air hose, both angle cocks are closed with the live air hose can kick like a mule and take a firm grip of the hose at the coupling of the end and pull it upward until the air starts to escape, holding the position until most of the air hoses between the angle cocks and head escape to the atmosphere. Then hose will part readily. Okay, 4-7 safety department. And then we got a small summary and conclusion. Virtually every major railroad today has a sufficient department head of the manager. Superintendent has assisted a number of the agents when to go over the railroad division following a set of scheduled teaching of doctrine safety. The safety agents travel from one point on a division to another, taking the shop crews, road gangs, maintenance ways of the maintenance of equipment, and groups of closely observing work habits of all employees. Show that the offender are diplomatically as possible for the corrective way for the job. Tell him why he shouldn't have done that way. Whenever accidents occur in that member of ch4 safety department with an appropriate supervisor determines if there has been an infraction of the rules. If working in the place practice is common, no adequate safety rules exist, the superintendent of safety consults with the proper authorities to format the rule. The primary object of the safety department is to teach employees to think safely of the job and always away from it. Safety as always as well as always away from it. Safety rules stressed on a basis that is be urged the men to be alert and danger for the use of urge the men to be alert to danger to use the reasoning for power to prevent accidents. Safety among military personnel, local workers, and theater is possible for the more important for the operation of commercial railroads, prevention accidents, fostering safety and working methods to help assure accomplishment of the mission of the minimum loss of man hours greatly economic operations. 4.8 summary. The summary. Throughout the years, railroad yards equipment have been improved, but the railroad paths of the cause of damage, injury, death. However, the railroad is still in place of the potential personal injury, the property damage, and modern automobiles, highways, railway yards, and equipment have been reached a high degree of mechanical safety, but their finally responsibility as safety must be placed on the user because of the complexity of activities taking place in the yard involving men and equipment. The safety rules outlined in TM 5-200 and DAPM 551 must be strictly obeyed in transportation railway service personnel. The purpose of these rail rules is to ensure the efficient practices of military railroad operations, interpret, execute execute rules successfully. One understanding of the purpose of the intent of the rules. One must use the rules, but not only one knows the rules, but also to apply the proper one to given the situation. A railroad must alert the danger in using the reason and ability given the condition, volume, rules to be written extensive safety campaigns waged unless the individual assumes the responsibility for safety, injury, death, and will continue to occur. Each person must apply the safety rules of his or himself rather depend on other times to apply for them. The final responsibility is safety directly of the individual. 4.9 The conclusion. A railway yard safety classifies assembly cars with departure if divided. The progressive combination yard is always provided the three functions: additional facilities, roundhouse, turntables, and repair tracks. Certain yard tracks, such as running track, necessary switching, and increase the efficient yard operation. All activities of the yard are the responsibility of the yard master supervisor. All the personnel who work in it, or he makes the switch list, are the yard clerks and track check list and instruction switch and crew how to check the cars through the yard. He also keeps the journal present at all times, accurate picture of the status of all work in cars, tracks, and cars. Inspectors check for each of the car on every train effort, and the enters the yard. Each track of every train of the B departs. Whenever the defective car is found and that cannot be repaired, immediately it is sent to the repair track. Yard operation supervision as job requires a lot of know-how. Yards experience for the your study text should remain gained as an insight and complexity of the task of maintaining a smooth, orderly progression of the car's freight and through the railway yard. A military railway operation theater, a congested yard, could cause a traffic jam that would result in logistics support failure. Important, therefore, the transfer officer similar failure is important for the transfer officer be familiar with the yard operations, how did he relate to the overall job of the railroading. And that's the last page. That was a rail yards AIPD course from Adam.